Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast presented by Outdoor Vitals. Outdoor Vitals, I did want to say, they make performance first ultralight gear. That's their new slogan. Was live ultralight, but they cleaned it up a little bit. Also wanted to mention you should get the Ventus Active Hoodie. We're featuring it this month on the Backpacking Podcast. Only weighs 7 ounces. It's ultra lightweight, and it's a great piece that you can really maneuver in whenever you're backpacking. Actually, Bridget and I, we didn't take the hoodie. We took the jacket version called the Vario whenever we were on the Camino de Santiago. And I'm actually joined here by my lovely wife, Bridget. So
Hello.
Everybody in the chat, send her some love and welcome her to the show. She's my co-host because John is O cubed. You know what that stands for, Bridget?
I do not.
Out of office. O cubed. Yeah.
Okay.
Cube for all you math nerds out there. So
I like that joke.
I'm going to be driving the ship today. And one last thing about Outdoor Vitals. If you do want to check them out, make sure you go through the link. Let me make sure I get this right. It's outdoorvitals.com/BP hoodie. And that hoodie is spelled HOODIE. Outdoorvitals.com/BP hoodie, HOODIE. Get yourself a discount and wear that hoodie and sport it. You could be like me. All right. Thank you, Outdoor Vitals, for being our title sponsor. Without further ado, I guess that we could go ahead and bring in a lovely friend of ours. Bridget, did you meet her at the YouTube meetup?
I think that was probably the first time we met. And then we've been on a few backpacking trips together since then with each other by chance. And actually, she's one of my favorite people to be around while backpacking. I love her very much.
We are going to be joined by Melissa, aka Unlikely Hiker. Make sure you go check out her YouTube and subscribe to her there and Instagram. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Tired, but good.
Well, I was going to ask something that you really kind of promoted recently on your channel was your style of work. And I guess I could describe it as following your passions, because it's really all about being outdoors. So I was wondering if you could share with us just a little bit with us and the audience about kind of the lifestyle that you lead. And also want to get into sleeping in a trailer, but more on that later. All right, go ahead and hit it with us. What do you got going on?
So last year, after I had surgery on my hand, I wasn't sure what I was going to do moving forward. I was not super happy with what I was doing. At the time, I was still waiting tables. I had left my job as a nurse at Albany Med, and I decided I'll just work at the ski resort that I work at for the summer, and then maybe I'll do paid patrol. And I've been a ski patroller for, 7 years now. And I always loved it. So I worked in aerial adventure, and I absolutely loved just being outside. I was making no money. You know, it's just a little bit over minimum wage. And in the winter, I made more money as a patroller, and I did that full time. I did not think that that was going to be so utterly exhausting, but it was. But it was the best kind of exhausting ever. And it made me think hard about what I was doing and what I wanted to do. I need a better balance of being passionate about the outdoors and paying my bills. So I'm still managing that at this moment in time. It's a work in progress, but I'm trying to be mindful of like maintaining an outdoor lifestyle.
Well, I know you're not the only one that's trying to do this balance of work life, but the work being in the outdoors. I know Tim Buckley. I don't know if you've met him before. Do you know him?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And Bridget, obviously, you know Tim. I guess he's originally from South Dakota, but he went back out there and done some stuff at some different national parks or lands out there. I'm not really sure. And
I think.
yeah, the Badlands. And then Rob and her name escapes me.
Janelle.
Janelle. Yeah, I think I actually called her Jeanette the other day. Janelle and Rob, they're doing this leave no trace thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I was
really cool.
yeah, I thought it was really cool too. Whenever I was watching your video, doing a little background research, having you on the show, I was like, boy, she's listing off a lot of jobs that really, I mean, some people just grind nose to the grindstone, which is fine, but it seems like sometimes it'd be easy to get miserable. And you know, they're making money, but they may not be doing what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it seems like you said, you're working on it. But what are some of the other jobs that, let's say I gave you a magic wand, you got to wave it, make as much money as you needed, but got to do what you wanted outside to follow your passion? What would be a couple of good opportunities you go after?
Hiking and backpacking guide would definitely be on the top of my list for sure. Again, that's not something that you're going to make a ton of money at, but I think I would really enjoy it. Now, going back originally, right before I graduated high school, decades and decades and decades ago, I wanted to be a geologist. And my dad actually talked me out of it. And he was coming from a good place. He worked for the state of New York. And he said to me, he's like, well, the state of New York only employs about 5 or 6 geologists for the whole state. He just didn't think I'd be able to find a job. He was being a little short-sighted, although he was trying to be helpful. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a missed opportunity. That would definitely be something, if I could go back in time and get a science degree, and I love science, I would do that. I would get a degree in geology.
What do you think, Bridget? You like studying rocks?
I love that you love that idea.
That's a no
for me.
But also, I'm very math brained, and I like being able to solve the problem, and then there's the answer, and having a few different ways to get to that answer. And I like being able to manipulate math. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I think that would be really cool, though, if that was something you were interested in. I think you would have to know so much information that I don't know anything about, unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to throw up a few of our chats here. First off, I thought this was funny. My goldfish drown was bringing up poop. I'm pretty sure this was before the show started. This was like 10 minutes before the show. So if you have a good one, you might have to save us a good poop story when we get toward the end of the show. A lot of hellos. Let's see. Somebody on here said, oh, I think I know them. Maybe I lost it. Unlikely hiker is about to be famous. Well, I wish. Actually, you were one of the recent winners on our show of the book.
Congratulations.
Oh, did it come in?
Yay!
For the record, that is a really good book. So if you have time to read it, I would definitely check it out.
It was in my car. So like in between clients, I could start reading it.
Well, we also got the Peachin' Engine here saying geology rocks. But wait a minute, do I have a button for that? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Timing is everything, right? So I'm curious. We've hiked before. Actually, let's talk a little bit about one of our trips. I think maybe the most recent one that we went on was probably the 2023 Red River Gorge meetup, because we did Indian Staircase. I know because Ruby ran up that thing. And
she is so fun to watch hiking. I love it.
Yeah, and one of our favorite people, Mr. Backpacking with Jason, sir, absolutely adores Ruby, and also probably never let him doggy sit for you, because I'm pretty sure I'm with you.
I did threaten him once. I said if she pulls up a deer carcass leg again, I was going to ship her down.
He would gladly accept. So we went on this trip. I went back and watched your video of it, and it was really cool.
It was seeing so fun to rewatch it, actually, to just go back and relive that.
Yeah. How often have you frequented the Red River Gorge?
Just twice. The twice I've been down there. What was it? 2022 was my first time, and then 2023. I'll be back this year. I was trying to convince my youngest to go with me. He probably won't because his birthday is that weekend. So,
well, what better
Gotcha.
way to celebrate?
that's what I'm saying.
He might not agree though.
No.
I did see that you do the solar eclipse. Is that right?
Yeah, that was our second trip to see an eclipse.
Okay, tell me about the first one because I heard that you all drove like 3,400 miles. Bridget, you know
Yeah.
about this?
No, I don't know
Yeah.
about this.
It's a long trip with the
Kind
boys.
of on a whim, we drove to Nebraska, as
Oh,
one does, to see the eclipse. I wanted to go to Oregon, but I forget what the reason was. Something with work. I couldn't get enough time off, and it was going to take me like 4 extra days to get to Oregon and back, maybe a little bit longer. So I was like, okay, how far can I get in 2 days or 2.5 days? And that was like Nebraska. So that's where we ended up. And we ended up in a Walmart parking lot in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, with some other wonderful, like-minded people that had trailers. I was just sleeping in a 2-door Ford Focus, both of us, no animals.
That had to be really uncomfortable though. The Ford Focus.
Ethan said it was like the best trip of his life. And that
Aw.
was great, because I'm sure it was very uncomfortable because we slept in that car. We had one night we stayed at my friend's mother's house in Indiana. That was it. Otherwise, we were sleeping in the car. So it was fantastic. And that eclipse was just under 2 minutes. So it wasn't even, we drove all that way for 2 minutes. And it was
Well, but I assume that it was as close to totality as you could get.
Oh yeah, we were right in the middle of the path of totality. And at that moment, we knew we were going to go see this one. And originally we were planning on Texas. The finances were not going to allow for that. So lucky for me, the weather was fantastic in Vermont. So that's where we headed.
I'm so
Nice.
jealous.
Yeah, it was great.
We actually were off school that day. Well, were you off school too?
Yes, mine was an actual day off though. I think you had a work day.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I'm a high school math teacher. My wife Bridget is a middle school math teacher.
Yay.
Yeah, and I don't know when y'all are listening to this episode. Some of you are literally here right now, watching on the live stream. But not too long ago, we had a solar eclipse, and I think in Kentucky we were like 99.4% totality. And so I think this is just us talking, right? Nobody's hearing this. So I think that my employer's okay with me saying this. We had to do so many days, and I think that they kind of made ours like a little cookout day. So we did have to work all day, but there was no students, and the staff cooked out for us, the administrators and stuff.
Oh,
and
nice.
they got us those special glasses, and we got to see 99.4% totality. But I think it was better in Kentucky for the last solar eclipse. Actually, I don't know how the strip. It's like a strip of totality, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this one wasn't as good, but I'm assuming if y'all were willing to drive all the way to Nebraska, you were going to get about as good as it's going to get. What about this one? What was this one like? Did you all try to relive the experience in miniature since you're just going to Vermont? Because you're kind of up.
I was looking at everything in between originally Indiana and Vermont. And as it got closer and closer, I'm just eyeballing the weather and everything, and it's not looking good for a lot of the area. But shockingly, I was like, oh my gosh, like New York looks like it's actually not going to be bad. So I was looking at Watertown, and if anyone's ever been to Watertown, there's more there than the last time I was there, but there's not a ton going on in Watertown, which would have been good for me because I was looking not to get stuck in all kinds of traffic. But then the forecast for Watertown changed. I had a friend up in the Adirondacks, and he's like, oh, you can come up to my camp. And I couldn't even wrap my head around what the traffic was going to be in the high peak. So I was like, yeah, no, we're going to pass on that. So I thought, okay, we could go to Burlington knowing, yeah, you're still going to get stuck in traffic. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be quite so bad. And then at the last minute, that morning of the eclipse, we left Burlington, actually right outside in Williston, and we drove just, I think, northeast of Jay, Vermont. We were 5 miles from Canada. Our phones were roaming in Canada. So we were right up there, and we were chasing the clear skies once again. So there were some high clouds. It wouldn't really have affected much in Burlington, but we just traveled anyway.
Well, a fun fact about Burlington, that is or was home base for Kyle Hates Hiking. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel.
Yeah.
Trail
Yeah.
Tales podcast. I think he's in Hawaii right now. Him and his girlfriend or
Yes,
fiance.
I know. I think he said he was from Jericho, Vermont, which I've never been through Jericho, but I've seen the signs.
Well, I did the Vermont Long Trail, as many of you already know that are listening. Kind of a running joke on here, but I had to call AT&T and basically tell them, hey, I'm going to be close to the Canadian United States border, and how do I avoid all these roaming charges? Because apparently, like you said, whenever you get close, your phone doesn't have a choice. It just like pings off whatever the tower.
Yeah.
So I called them, and they never charged me for it. So I guess it worked, but such a beautiful area. Burlington was, I was able to fly out of there if I wanted to, but it's going to be really expensive. So I went over to like Providence, Rhode Island, I think is where I flew out of. But New England, everything I feel like is so close together. Like you can go state to state to state in one day. But if I drive from Eastern Kentucky to Western Kentucky, it's like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit jealous of you having the Adirondacks there. And, you got the Whites, and you also have, well, I guess it's the Green Mountains is technically what that would be, where the Long Trail was. But, I'm quite jealous, but not jealous enough to leave my old Kentucky home.
I mean, it gets cold up here, but the distance is a little deceptive because I took Ethan to some walking with dinosaurs thing when he was little. And I've been to New Hampshire since then, but it takes me about 5.5 hours to get to New Hampshire.
Oh, wow.
For being so close. It's literally right there. Like it's right there. But it takes a long time because the only direct route is to go I-90 east and then up, 93 or 95, depending on where you want to go. So.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe it is a bit deceptive. Tangent Trails wanted to throw their comment up. Hope they're doing okay. First time I met Melissa was in Cades Cove in the Smokies. I'm pretty sure
that's our trip.
I'm pretty sure we were all sitting around a picnic table in the Great Smoky Mountains at Cades Cove, because outside comfort zone.
Outside comfort zone. And we were there with Dave Off Grid and Metro.
Yeah, what's really weird is Dave Off Grid.
There was another one. We don't want to forget him.
Champ. That's Jared's brother.
Yes, he came in. No, shoot, YouTuber. He's such a nice guy.
You're talking about As the Crow Flies Hiking?
Yes. Why can't I think of his? I can think of his YouTube name. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't hate me.
He's never going to hear it.
You never know. I just want to make sure I call it.
I'm going to send it to him.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, he is a nice guy. But yeah, I remember meeting Tangent Trails, and what's his wife's name? I can't remember. But anyway, they're really nice people, kind of passing through, doing their own, I guess, cross-country vehicle trek. I
vaguely remember this part, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was a fun trip.
I remember it was really hard to go up the hill, but I was so proud of myself when I got to the top. We just kept going, and it was awesome. And I was really glad that we did that trip, because it was tough, but it was.
When you were leaving,
worthy.
Yes. Yeah, that was tough.
All those switchbacks.
Yeah.
And did you not bring Ruby on that one, because the Smokies? There's no.
Yeah, she stayed with my friend in Greenville.
Yeah, there's no dogs allowed, is there?
No.
So let me ask you a question then, because you backpack with dogs, and I know you're not through hiking, but what do people do if they're through hiking with their dog and you get to the Smokies? And is it Shenandoah maybe also that you can't have a dog? I can't remember.
I don't know about Shenandoah. I'm assuming maybe. I mean, the Smokies, I know a lot of people leave their dog with somebody else while they're traveling.
Mm.
I've
Yeah, I
just
gotta,
watched videos of people that go through with their dogs, and it's a little weird.
you
Yeah,
talk about like they just keep on marching, even though in the
they-
Smokies they're not allowed.
yeah. So whoever's hiking
Mm.
keeps going, but they have to transfer the dog over to somebody else while they're
Yeah,
in the Smokies.
boy, I would be kind of afraid. I guess the worst they can do is write you a ticket, right? Like if you have your dog, I mean, they're not going to take your dog, but
I hope not.
I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't chance it.
I wouldn't chance it either, but the ridge runners and stuff are like actually active in the Smokies. You know, a lot of, I guess the sections of trail, it depends on how popular they are. And there's, you know, thousands of people or millions of people doing part or some of the AT every year. But in the Smokies, like they'll actually come up there. I remember Jason telling me about him running into one because he was section hiking the AT and he was in the Smokies. And one of the ridge runners was like, "Do you want me to kick somebody out of the shelter because you reserved a spot?" And those through hikers, you know, I can kick them out because you're not allowed to tent or hammock in the Smokies unless the shelters are full. And then you got to like schedule them ahead of time depending on, you know, the campsites and stuff on the AT. Yeah. I'd say you're right. I wouldn't chance it either. Suzanne was the name. Suzanne.
I've been called out for forgetting Crow's name. So sorry.
Well, according to Dave Off Grid, you
Yeah.
have a great memory.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. As the crow flies high. Chris Zacconi says the traffic was horrendous. I'm assuming that he's talking about on the eclipse there.
Mhm.
Yeah. I got to tell you.
Yeah, but didn't he do like a double take from like Ohio and then head east?
Oh, I'm not sure. Did he post
That
that
would've
on
been
his
cool.
channel? I
Yeah.
haven't seen.
I don't
I'd have
remember
to
off the
check.
top of my head, but I thought it was like something crazy. It took me only 6 hours to get home. I say only. It should have taken 4, but that wasn't too bad.
I don't know. It seems like you make great time because how far is the gorge from you?
14 hours maybe.
14 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what would you say the furthest you've ever driven to do like an overnighter?
An overnighter.
Or maybe 2 nights. I know you probably don't want to drive too far just for one night.
I mean, snap. I drove down to the Smokies for what were we out there for 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's 2 nights, 3 days.
Worth it for sure. Got to see those fiery azaleas right as
Those
they were
are
all
beautiful.
That was gorgeous.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you don't want to pass up.
Even though I was dying a slow death that whole trip.
What was wrong with you?
I have no idea. I was just, my stomach was upset.
That's
I was sick the whole
right.
time. Remember, I couldn't eat anything. Everyone was trying to eat food out
Yes.
of my bag.
I remember that now.
Because I had to, I don't know. I know Dave Off Grid is on here somewhere. How much was my pack?
What week was that? The trip we compared?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. At the beginning, we all weighed our packs.
And the girls had the heaviest
Yeah,
pack.
Bridget and I had the heaviest packs.
Yep, because we're the strongest.
And I was sick, and I still owned it.
You did so good on that trip. You did
That was
wonderful.
tough. Yeah.
Well, speaking of being sick, let me ask you about this.
Close to 40 pounds. No.
So you put on your YouTube bio that one of your goals is basically helping people get outdoors, especially since you battle fibromyalgia.
Yes.
And I don't know a whole lot about that. If that's genetic or that's something you just develop and what it does to you. And basically what it is it a muscle degenerative disease, or can you tell us a little bit about it and how you combat it and still stay active and backpack and ski?
Yeah. Fibromyalgia is an autoimmune disorder, and it's still not super well understood. And it's a diagnosis by exclusion of other definitive diagnoses. So, you know, when they can't find anything else wrong, you know, they kind of label things as fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, things like that. But it's a widespread pain disorder. And originally, I had no idea what was wrong with me, but I hurt like it was like my bones hurt, especially for me. My legs were so much worse. Like it just felt like my femurs were going to explode. It was really painful. Also, my back hurt really bad, but it was this really intense, deep ache. And when I say deep, I mean like it wasn't on the surface. It wasn't in my muscles. It just felt deeper than that. And it took 7 years to get a diagnosis. And people, a lot of times, I was diagnosed maybe 15 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
A lot of times doctors are dismissive with your complaints. They kind of chalk it up to stress or anxiety or other mental health issues or laziness or any other thing, just being a complainer, not being able to deal with life. And, that's just not helpful. But after I got a diagnosis, I was, well, let me back up just a little bit. I was laid out on the couch daily. I could not stay awake. I was in pain. I couldn't function. Brain fog. It was horrible. And after I was diagnosed, I had to get on medication, which I wasn't thrilled about. But the doctors the whole time always said the same thing. You have to move. It's the last thing you want to do. I know you don't feel like getting out and moving, but you have to walk, you have to move, you have to get up and you have to do things. You have to keep moving. And it was the last thing I wanted to do. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. I could barely get up and get dressed in the morning and you want me to go take a walk. I mean, it was ridiculous. But my quality of life was horrific at that point in time. And I knew I could not have my life continue down that particular path. So, fun story, the nurse practitioner at the rheumatology office that I went to happened to be the wife of the speech pathologist that I worked with at Albany Med. And I remembered her, but she didn't remember me from a separate event. And I listened to her, I took it to heart, and eventually I started to improve with medication and exercise and everything. And years later, I told the speech and language pathologist the difference his wife made in my life. And he said, "Can I tell her?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely, but keep my name out of it." And he's like, "I promise I will." So that was really cool to know that, because she went into medicine to help people. And she helped me so much. She changed my life. And I kind of wanted to pay that forward in trying to help other people. Now, that being said, everyone's experience with fibromyalgia is definitely going to be different. And just because I got better with a lot of exercise does not necessarily mean everybody will have the same results. But it did work for me. And it worked so well, I was able to stop all but one medication.
Yay.
So that was huge, because even though my pain is a little bit worse, I feel better not on so many medications. So, yeah.
Doc Watson, he says you're not the only one. He's got a few family members that's also dealing with the same. No, that's got to be hard. Let me go back to your days where you're trying to get diagnosed. You mind if I ask you a couple questions about that?
Go for it.
Okay. So this is circa 2008, 2009, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
So just out of the blue, you just start hurting, or was it a slow onset and you progressively got worse and you finally are like, I got to go see a doctor about this? What was it like in the
It was slow-ish. I started getting just kind of uncomfortable and I didn't really know why. And I started getting really fatigued and I didn't know why. I can't sit here and like pinpoint any one thing, but over time, in a relatively short amount of time, like maybe 6 months-ish, it became unmanageable. So, yeah. And you at that point, you go to the doctor and they just don't know what to tell you because it's all non-specific complaints.
Yeah, you're just going in there, tell them you're hurting here, hurting there, the brain fog.
Totally non-specific. Like everything I told the doctor, and as a nurse, like it's not helpful. everything I was telling them, just, okay, great, you're tired. Okay, great, you're sore. What do you want me
And
to do about it?
they don't have any like test, like actual like blood work and that kind of stuff that they
Nothing.
can run to diagnose people. It's all
No.
process elimination until you reach the most
Yeah.
likely conclusion.
Yeah, the only clue that they had was, there was a family history of autoimmune issues, but I was adopted, so I didn't have at that point in time, I didn't really have a huge family history, like, that kind of came to play a little bit into it, so,
Mhm. Hmm.
yeah.
Well, if I can comment on that,
Yeah.
I have to say that that to me is really inspiring because to see that you went through all of that and then you chose to make a lifestyle change, even though it was hard, even though it took a lot out of you. And I just feel like so many people could benefit from that, even if they don't necessarily have an autoimmune disease, but
Mhm.
just people in general. Like, yeah, life is hard and things suck sometimes, and people are sore and people are tired, but you can't give up and you got to keep going and you've got to figure out your answers. And so I think that's really awesome that that's been your journey.
Yeah. It's been inspiring for myself, like, you don't like where you're at, change it.
Hmm.
Well, what would you say are some of the things that maybe you have to do differently whenever it comes to preparing for a trip or getting out on trail or even the food that you bring? What is it that you do that's different that somebody else might see and be like,
Yeah, so the number one thing that will sidetrack me 100% of the time is sleep. And when I did the Trans-Catalina Trail last year with Dave and Huck and Edgar, I had several days of no sleep before we started our trip. I had the biggest fibro flare of my life after that trip. It was awful. And I always recover from these things, so don't feel sorry for me. And I would do that trip 100 times over because it was so spectacular. But sleep is absolutely imperative. I have to get good sleep beforehand. I have to get good sleep on the trip. And also food, I can't just eat a ton of junk food. I can have some junk food, but I have to eat some halfway decent things. And I cannot push myself. There's been 3 times I tried to do the, Great Range Traverse, and 3 times I didn't make it because I'll go and I'll go and I'll go and I'll hit a wall, and I physically can't go any further. And it's kinda gotten me stuck a few times, unfortunately, but, I lived through all of them, thankfully. But I have to really be careful, and if I'm going to push myself, I really should have at least one other person with me just in case,
mm.
because that just sort of gets a little tricky.
Well, to get that sleep, you're a tent camper, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm more of a hammock camper myself, not to get too much in the weeds, but every time I go with Bridget, every single time we take a tent. Always. First, I want to ask you about your sleep system here in just a second, but I want to ask Bridget something. Why do we always take a tent?
It's familiar to me. It keeps us in the same space. So I don't know how much everyone thinks about the 5 love languages, but physical touch is my love language. And when I'm out in the woods, like I get scared too easy because I'm a big baby. So having Jeremiah right there, so I could just like reach out, like, and know he's there, it helps me a whole lot. And I know there will be several of you who say you could just put your hammocks beside each other, blah. I know. But then there's a whole new system I have to learn. And I don't go enough to learn that system and remember that system really well, to be honest. And so tenting is familiar, tenting is comfortable, tenting makes me happy.
So needless to say, we bring the tent. Now, something that we've started bringing is this little flex tail. I don't know. It's like a pump, right? I mean, Bridget, I showed it to her, and so she's willing to carry it every time.
I carry it.
I never bring a pump. I have like a Nemo tensor that has like you blow into the stuff sack or whatever, not the stuff sack, but this inflatable sack, and it takes 2 or 3 breaths, and you roll it into the pad, and it's blown up. I never bring the do what?
It's too much work.
Oh, you don't like it?
I use the pump.
Well,
Yeah.
the pump is also a nightlight. So
Yes.
I saw you got some early testing on their new pump. Flextel seems to
Oh
be
no,
like,
I did not get early testing on that. They took forever to get that thing shipped to me.
oh, well, tell me about it. What happened?
Oh, well, I did the what was it? The crowdsource thing.
GoFundMe?
Yeah, that. I did the GoFundMe, and they had a little bit of a snafu, like getting everything shipped out, and it actually took forever. So, that's right, Dave, Indiegogo. Once I finally got it, yeah, it works good. It does not have a light. It's lighter. It works great. And the little nozzles, they're silicone, so they sit right into the pad. So you don't have to hold it. Like the old one, that was my big complaint, is you have to like sit there hunched over, your sleeping pad. Like that's exactly what you want to do after you take your pack off, your 4.3 pound pack, and, bend over with an air pump. This one, you just snap it on there, turn it on, walk away, go do something else.
And
So
you got to top it off once you get done with it?
Yeah, usually.
Okay. Well, this one that we take, I guess, is a little bit heavier, but Bridget, I think she likes the nightlight.
Yeah, the nightlight is a comfort to me because, again, baby about everything. I can't help it. I'm trying that. I'm getting braver, guys, so don't worry. I'm getting better all the time. The thing I don't like about the pump, though, is how long it takes, because I'll see Jeremiah over there, and we could start at the same time, and he's done way before I am. So that's probably my biggest. But I would be interested in trying the new one on another trip later on.
I have the new one.
I didn't know you had
Never taken it out of the box.
I'd be willing to try that.
They send you this stuff. I mean, as well, where you have the YouTube channel, you get these emails, and sometimes they'll send you stuff, sometimes they won't. And I'm pretty sure they sent me, but I could be wrong. It might be the Nightcore one. Have you tried it?
No, I didn't know Nightcore made one.
Yeah, they made these 10,000 milliamp hour
the
chargers.
batteries.
Yeah, the battery pack. And then I guess around the same time they released this pump as well, because they emailed me about both of them. And I'm pretty sure they sent them. But yeah, I don't think I've taken that one out of the box, because the one, like Bridget said, she don't go enough that she's going to remaster a skill or something. Yeah. We've used the same tent. I mean, when did we buy that tent?
Oh, when we first started going together, probably.
Yeah, that was like 2018, somewhere around in there.
So what's that been, 6 years?
Yeah, and we used that tent on the Foothills Trail.
Yep.
We got real quick at setting it up, especially in the rain.
Yeah. We've had a fun few of those adventures, setting up the tent in the rain.
Now that's the worst. What is your technique, Melissa, whenever it comes to tent camping in the rain?
Well, my technique is, if there's a lean-to available, sleep in the lean-to, because that's always easier. With the Durston X-Mid Pro, though, it's all one piece, so you just set it up, so it doesn't matter. With my older tent, it would get wet inside. Oh God, when I was in Colorado and I had to set up, what did I have? The REI Flash 1. It was a trekking pole tent, but oh dear God, that thing got absolutely flooded because I was using it to cover myself in this rain and hailstorm, and I was in this stand of trees, and the lightning was just striking around me, and I was hypothermic. It was horrible. And I had to get the tent up. It was flooded. Like literally there was about an inch of water in the tent, and I was shivering out of control, and I had to get all the water out. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah, that sucked. That was terrible.
Would you say that's one of your wildest, most dangerous times on trail?
Yeah, it was one of them. There's been a few.
Oh, you have more. Well,
I would like to hear what you would call your worst experience, but then we have to follow up with a positive. What was your best experience?
The worst one was last Memorial Day weekend. I hiked the Taconic Crest Trail. It kind of goes along the border of Vermont, New York, and Massachusetts. And on top of Berlin Mountain, just below the summit, I'm setting my tent up, done for the day. I think I did, I don't know, 17 miles, 16, 14, who knows? I lost count.
A lot in a day.
It was a lot because I started at 1:00 and I was trying to hurry, and it was just really steep. The first pitch is pretty significant. So I'm setting the tent up, and Ruby's just sort of hanging out, and she starts barking, like losing her mind, like Cujo barking. And I turn around, and the biggest bear I have ever seen is there, and he's not running away. I mean, this thing, like when I say it was the size of a car, like maybe a golf cart car, but it was massive. This bear was actually massive. And Ruby is charging the bear, and the bear is not being aggressive or anything. But all I could think is, this is how dogs get their owners killed. Like, because dogs will cause bears to attack. A bear that wouldn't ordinarily attack, a dog can cause that. All I saw was this ending poorly for both of us. And I wasn't that far away from civilization, but you know, the tent is already pitched. My poles are over there. My pack is hanging up, and I'm like, all I could do is yell, and the bear doesn't care. I'm trying to get the dog back. She's not on a leash. I'm zapping her with her e-collar. She doesn't care. She wants to kill the bear.
Yeah, Ruby.
So finally, I got her to come back, but it took forever for that bear to leave. Oh my gosh, that was terrifying. And then the bear came back in the middle of the night.
Oh no!
I heard it messing with my pack, which I attached to a tree because I had a feeling the bear was going to come back. And here I am with a cast on my hand and this, in a Dyneema tent, taco style. I'm like, oh my God, like if this dog wakes up, we're both going to die, because I could see the shadow of the bear on the outside of the tent. Yeah, that was
wow.
Sometimes I think you crave danger, Melissa.
that was terrifying.
That would scare me so bad.
Tangent Trail says that could possibly cause a poop story there.
It could, yeah, for sure. You want to hear the best story?
Yes,
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many, but I would say last September when I was in Catalina with Dave and Huck, getting done with a day of hiking. And when we were at Parsons Landing, that was my favorite campsite. It was just epic.
Where'd you say this was?
The Trans-Catalina Trail.
Trans-Catalina Trail. Okay, I'm just Googling it while you talk here because I want to see what it looks like.
That night, it was our last night on trail, which made me very sad. But just, you're hot and sweaty. And even though I got stung by this weird looking wasps thing, just like getting my swimsuit on and just getting into the ocean and swimming, that was epic. That was absolutely epic. I had never been to the Pacific before. I'd never been to California, so that was the first time. Yeah,
that's another spot I'm real jealous of is the California folks. I know that some of the, not to get into the politics and all that, that might get a little wild out in Cali, but man, the beauty of all the spots that they have, and like you said, being able to throw on a swimsuit and go to the ocean. Like I'm looking at I just Googled Trans-Catalina Trail, and I mean, there's a chick literally hiking in a bikini right there called fast packing. Yeah, I gotta hit this up because I think Jason Huckabee asked me about coming out there, but that's a big commitment. I mean, it's probably even bigger for you. You got people depending on you at home, and you're in New York, so yeah. But that kind of trip is tough to get away for.
I figure it out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Speaking of, I'm wanting to ask you. I assume you sold the Ford Focus because that thing's probably not pulling the trailer.
It is not. No, I didn't.
Yeah. So what are you driving now? And tell us about this trailer that I guess you don't really live out of, but it's kind of like living out of whenever you're headed out on a trip.
Yeah. Well, I do at the ski resort. I drive a 4Runner.
Okay.
And that tows 5,000 pounds. The trailer is a 14-foot Rockwood Geo Pro. And I think the dry weight on that is just under 2,100 pounds. I rarely have water in it, but that's what I tow it with the 4Runner. In the winter, I use it more in the winter than I do in the summer. So in the winter, especially this past year, I park it in the parking lot. I have like my own area of the parking lot. They need to pave that for me, by the way. I've told them, like, listen, you get a lot of bang for your buck with me. You don't pay me a lot of money. You can pave that little spot. Maybe some electric hookups would be fantastic. But I park it there and I leave it for 4 days, and I sleep there overnight from like Tuesday to Wednesday. Then I come home Wednesday night. I go back Thursday and I sleep there Thursday to Friday, and then I come home again. Unless I have training, then I'll sleep in it on Friday night.
Wow.
So it's an enclosed trailer then, right?
Yep. It's got heat. It's got propane. So it's got a 3-burner stove, bathroom, everything you need. Just tiny, tiny package.
What's it called?
It's a Rockwood Geo Pro 14 FK. It's a 14-foot trailer.
Geo what?
Geo Pro.
Yeah.
14 FK.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm seeing the
so
pictures that Jeremiah googled.
It's like a clown car of trailers.
That is so cool, though.
I gotta say, the nose on it looks so funny.
Yeah.
And I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I bought that to make camping accessible for my daughter. So I bought that brand new. So think about the $16,000 I spent on that thing. It's like 6 years old now, 6, 7 years old. I bought that so that she could go camping and have a safe space with lights and a bathroom to go to the bathroom. And like, fun fact, like, you know, I always make fun. I'm like, I was always a terrible parent. And, you know, my kids will tell you different, but their pediatrician, who was my pediatrician, she said to me one day, she said, I wish more of my parents were like you. And it's like, I'm looking around like, who are you talking to? But that's just one example, but I go to great lengths for my kids.
Well, that's a big time investment for your kid. This is for your daughter. So we watched a video, and she's part of, let's see, what was it called? Yeah, the cheer.
Yep. Capital District Angels, a special cheer team.
Yes. So this video, it's not been too long since you've uploaded it, but it looked like a cheer competition. And is it people with special needs that, you know, whether it's Downs or autism or whatever?
Anybody that has either an IEP or life plan. So Emily, pardon me, when she graduated, it's no longer, you know, an IEP. Mm-hmm. And I think the kids that have 504s too. I'm not sure on that one, but
and this is some education jargon for those that don't know.
Yeah.
IEP stands for Individual Education Plan, and 504 is like a document that could be used at the same time, sometimes not, but it's for if you have like a physical disability a lot of times, whether it's hearing or wheelchair, etc. The IEP a lot of times is a learning disability. Mm-hmm. But go ahead. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, not at all. I always assume people know what I'm talking about.
In the education world, we know all about it.
We are
so, I mean, the oldest person on Emily's team is in their early 40s. So that's participant on the team. So this is a team for all ages. And the youngest, oh my gosh, they're little teeny tots, like maybe 6 years old. Oh. They're adorable. All kinds of backgrounds, all different kinds of abilities, boys and girls, doesn't matter. Everybody is welcome to participate, and you don't age out of the program. It is wonderful. And it's part of Pop Warner.
Well, I absolutely love the video. Y'all can go check it out on Melissa's YouTube channel, Unlikely Hiker. But, you know, I don't know, there's something special about a parent like you were just describing that is willing to go the extra lengths so that, you know, your child, even though they might have some special needs, that takes some more effort, but you make it through that and you go the extra mile so that your daughter can participate, and taking your son on trips like you described earlier, the solar eclipse. You know, my wife Bridget is pregnant right now. You're what, 28 weeks?
Yeah, we're in the third trimester.
So seeing stories like yours really inspires me to, no matter what, you know, making a life, but including your child as well. Because I seen some of the kids were doing cartwheels, some of them were doing stunts, even if it was assisted, you know, and the kids were having a blast. And you even told your daughter, you know, let me see that big smile. And it really warms your heart.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
My
She's
sister,
got another one coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to be in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, back to the beach.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy trip because I'm headed down with both Emily and Ethan, and we're going to go to Carowinds because, for anyone that doesn't know, we're also huge roller coaster people. We spend a ton of time in the summer going on roller coasters. So we're going to Carowinds, and then we're going to Myrtle Beach for a cheer competition, and then we're leaving Myrtle Beach to drive up to Doswell, Virginia, so that we can go to King's Dominion.
Wow, roller coasters.
So it you know, I don't make much money, but I'm a little frugal with my money, but when I'm willing to spend it, I'm willing to spend it. And that's on trips for myself and trips for the kids. And
that's wonderful. Bridget, what were you going to say about your sister?
I was just going to say my parents also, they have a camper and they do the same thing. Like my sister is down, so they will take her out camping too. And then that gives her a safe place. She's got a bed, she's got a bathroom, and makes it to where she's a little bit more able to get outside and do things too. So I just thought that was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
We got a few people that are about to dip out, and I wanted to say thanks for joining us. Dave Off Grid said he's got to go, but best of luck to us. And Melissa, fantastic job. You killed it.
Thanks, Dave.
And we also had Doc Watson, another regular of the show. Got to run. Have a good night. Doc, thanks for joining us tonight. And the Pizza Ninja brings up a pertinent question. The Pizza Ninja simply says, poop story, ? The Beast. Oh, okay. Yeah, is that Six Flags?
Said the Kings Island, the Beast.
Oh,
yep.
This
is my Kings Island cup.
Yeah, Riff Outdoors. That's what
I love Kings Island.
You're just asking, have you been to Kings Island?
Mystic Timbers. That's my favorite there.
Mystic Timbers. Didn't we ride that?
Yeah, we also rode the Beast. We rode every roller coaster we possibly could whenever we went last time.
The key is you got to get the upgraded Fast Pass.
Oh my
I don't know if you do that.
Fun fact, Emily is a Fast Pass.
Oh, look at that. Straight to the front of the line.
I'm one of the few people that doesn't abuse it. It's always myself and my daughter and my son, and that's it. But yeah.
Well,
she gets priority boarding.
Well, I think that she should get that. We paid for it last time, and then we got to the front of one of the lines after waiting in the Fast Pass line. And this looked like a 12, 13-year-old kid working there turned us away. He said, y'all got the wrong wristbands on. You need like the elite package or whatever. And I was like, dude, I already paid like triple the cost of the tickets just to get the Fast Pass. And he's like, well, this ride is discluded, and so are these other rides. I was like, I
learned something new.
Yeah. No, actually, I've heard that sometimes certain rides are not included in that.
Yeah. Come on, Kings Island. Get with it. Yeah, you can't charge me quadruple. All right, let's go back to the poop. Do you have any good poop stories for us before we wrap here?
Yes, I have been to Cedar Point. Yeah, I have it's a really unfortunate poop story.
That's what we like to hear.
This happened on the way to Red River Gorge in 2022. I stopped at a truck stop. I camped overnight. I think I was in like a Costco parking lot or something. And I continued on the next morning, and I'm headed down, but I stop at a truck stop so that I can use the bathroom and brush my teeth and get freshened up and everything. And while I'm traveling in the 4Runner long distance, I have like a bed, a cot bed in the back and everything. And the seats are down and, there's space for the dog, whatever. But I also have like a portable toilet that I bring with me. Mm. And it lives under the cot. Well, unbeknownst to me, when I had gone in the truck stop, Ruby got into it.
Oh no, Ruby.
No,
wow.
Ruby.
Ate everything out of it. So I don't know if you remember, but yes. When I got there, I was like, don't let the dog kiss you.
I remember.
The old poopy.
That's why I said that.
Oh.
A bad dog.
That's absolutely hilarious.
That is an awful story.
Yeah, what did you do with Ruby once you got back out to the vehicle?
Oh my God. Okay. So I also have these big, they're like adult wipes. You can get them at like hospitals and stuff, but they're like big giant wipes. I had to clean her down. Oh my God. I emptied the whole car out into the parking lot. I almost left her behind. I was so mad at her. Oh dear God. I'm just like using wipes as floss for her teeth and like her beard. And oh my God, it was disgusting. Ruby. But I was not leaving the parking lot until she and her face and everything was clean.
Wow.
Emptied the portable toilet. And yeah, did not need it.
That is hilarious.
Rod Outdoors says, I thought a squirrel tipping over the chili bag in my car was bad.
Yeah. Ruby's good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that is a rough one. Oh, well, Melissa, before we wrap here, can you tell everybody the best places to find you online, to follow your journey and everything that you're doing?
Sure. Yep. YouTube is Unlikely Hiker. Instagram, Unlikely Hiker. I have a Facebook page, Unlikely Hiker. I rarely go on Facebook. I'm not the biggest fan of social media, but if somebody messages me on Unlikely Hiker on Instagram, I will see it pretty quick, and I respond to those. Email unlikelyhiker@yahoo.com.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for spending an hour of your time with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited to have gotten to see you tonight. I've missed you so much.
I know, I missed you too.
And a little secret here, Bridget is going to, we talked about it tentatively, going to try to make the 2024 YouTube meetup. So hopefully our paths will cross once again and the ladies will get to hang out. I know y'all have fun.
Yay. We always have a good time.
Just don't kiss the dog.
I will not. I will not kiss the dog.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks again to Melissa and folks. I think that we'll see y'all in the next episode. Adios.
Thank you.